Minnesota-based Hammer-Made shirts are meant to help you look your best at any special occasion. And now through August 4th, they're holding their halftime sale with up to 50% off in savings. Up to 50% off in savings. Holy cow. Check it out now at hammermade.com. And to give you a head start on your shopping, we've got a $100 Hammer-Made gift card for caller number 11. Call 800-320-5326. That's 800-320-5326 right now.
Final hour, 9 to noon. Nordoin for PA. The vocal maintenance days continue. And I'm excited in studio. I have a couple of guests. Well, actually, three. I have Gophers sophomore running back Darius Taylor. Excited to meet Darius and talk with Darius here this morning. Blake Barrett's Institute for Athletes. And probably the star of the show, Blake, your beautiful daughter, Bexley. How about that? Yeah. Bexley's in studio today. Bexley, the superstar. Going to, we can get you to turn the mics on there.
Sorry, I thought it was on already.
No, it's all good. Max fielding some phone calls, but wonderful Bexley. We're going to get to hear from her at some point, I'm sure, during this segment. But Darius, first of all, thanks for coming in, man. It's awesome to meet you. Fantastic freshman season that you had here. How pumped are you to get this thing rolling now into 2024?
I'm very excited. It opens up a lot of opportunities with the schedule we have this year. So I feel like it could be a big year for us and for me personally. I feel like it's going to be a show.
Absolutely. And you know, you played, I think it was 6 games last year, right?
Yes.
And you got kind of a taste of the action, but just one carry against the Huskers.
Yeah.
And then no big deal. The other 5 that you played in, you averaged $160 and a score, including that massive liftoff game in the Quick Lane Bowl. And you're a Detroit native. What was it like being able to feast in front of your friends and family in Detroit?
Oh, that was just fun, honestly. Obviously, I mean, I'm just being me out there on the field, but it was fun to play in front of the family because, I mean, everybody doesn't get to come to every game. So it was cool to have almost the whole family there. And all my friends from high school and just the guys I know from around the city. So that was really fun. Good opportunity.
And you mentioned into 2024, you said it's going to be a show. And I'm excited for this season as well. And being the home of Golden Gophers football, we're going to have all your games right here on your home for Gophers football, the fan. But you chose to. It's kind of a thing, right? I mean, you're here with Blake Barrett's today. You're familiar with the transfer portal. You're familiar with all of that. But ultimately, kind of the key here, it feels like, is you chose to stay in Minnesota for a reason. Talk about that.
In all reality, it wasn't really a decision for me. I knew I wanted to stay. Here, they give me great opportunities to obviously get the ball. You know, we run the ball at Minnesota. It's kind of like our DNA.
Yes, you do.
So, I mean, there was not really a choice there. And then when it comes to like the offense, there's a big role that I play in the offense. So I don't think that anybody would just give that up just to go somewhere else.
No, I dig that. And as I was talking to you in the hallway briefly, and Parker Fox, a member of Men's Hoops, he's become a regular this summer on the station, and I was talking to him about it. And Ben Johnson, he's got these guys. We got training, we got practices. It's an all year round thing. And an outsider like me, I don't get that. I'm thinking like summer break, like you're bouncing around. Maybe you go home, you do whatever, and you just come back and you got to kick off a little summer 15 pounds and then you get back at it. Well, I'm wrong. PJ keeps you guys running all year, doesn't he?
Oh, yeah, definitely. We do a lot. We're doing like our conditioning. We're also doing, as players, we have a player-led team, so we're doing a lot of player-led practices, player-ran meetings, and a lot of off-the-field things as a group just to build that chemistry and become together.
Now, with the Big Ten Media Days coming up, I read something. You're actually going to be out there representing Minnesota, not only Coach Fleck, but a couple of your teammates, Max Brosmer, Cody Lindenberg as well. And it's just, for me, growing up in Minnesota, as the Big Ten has continued to expand, I'm just trying to think about Rutgers playing a road game at USC. Like, that's still kind of weird. You guys are going to head to UCLA this year.
Yep.
Your excitement around the Big Ten Media Days, a little bit of a platform exposure moment there, but that's kind of a cool kickoff party for you guys.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I feel like Big Ten Media Day is is really cool. I mean, I watched it growing up, being a Michigan and Michigan State fan growing up in Michigan. But I feel like it also gives you the opportunity to obviously get your name out there, but also just see like how everyone's feeling around the conference. I feel like things are moving in a great direction. I think it's really cool that the West Coast teams came in. I think it'll be cool to go over there and play some games on the West Coast. I think it'll make things interesting, possibly change Big Ten football, but you never know. Football is going to be football. It'll be fun.
Absolutely. Now, Blake, bringing you into this conversation, not only your relationship with Darius, but numerous athletes. I mean, I've known you really since I started with PA, and kind of the evolution of talking about, you know, some of the things you've done for guys like Adam Thielen. I mean, as you've grown in your Breath Institute for Athletes, what is IFA's part in this existence, not only of Darius, who's further in his college career and athletics career, but trying to weave through the weirdness from a football standpoint, a lot of money being thrown around, TV deals, we got massive conferences, all of that, but the opportunity for these athletes to put themselves on a platform as well as part of this process.
Yeah, I think the change really is, I think, long overdue. I mean, I've been pretty vocal. I think, you know, collegiate athletes, especially in the revenue generating sport, should have been paid for a long time. And I think the system allowed it to get so egregious for so long that now it's, you know, I think they made decisions too quickly, which is why the system is a little messy right now. But it's hard to put the toothpaste back in the bottle. But all we're really doing is bringing the same, you know, professionalism that we did with our high level NFL caliber talents down to the collegiate level now, because now the need for professional representation is there. Like they're making real money. There's real opportunities. There's real tax liabilities. Like all we're doing is bringing the professionalism to amateurism, which is really no longer amateur sports. And listen, there's good and bad to that. Like I love the historical collegiate model. I don't like to see teams changing conferences over money, but the NCAA messed the system up really terribly. And so now we're kind of going through those first few years of what is the system going to look like, and it's a mess. I mean, there's no way around it. It's a mess. These collegiate programs are not set up to do it properly. I believe in the next 5 years, all these college programs are going to have NFL front offices, analytics departments, salary cap departments, scouting departments. It is professional sports. You can call it amateurism all you want, but it's professional sports.
Now, part of that, a lot of excitement and fanfare, and I asked you this before the segment started as well, Darius. NCAA 25 came out. You obviously you play as the Gophers, correct?
I do.
Okay. Now, Max was hitting me. I don't know what the rating is. What's Darius's current rating on NCAA 25?
Darius is an 88 overall. So I'm currently recruiting you to Mississippi State, where my quarterback Laquan Xavier DiCaprio plays. But I might hit the transfer portal myself. But wherever I'm going, Darius, I'm gonna need you to follow me. Your rating is 88. Do you think that's fair? You think it's too low? Think you should be a little bit higher? Where are you at with your NCAA 25 rating, and have you played the game at all?
Yeah, I played a lot actually. I think that my rating is actually pretty fair. Maybe a bit much. Last year, I mean, obviously I didn't play the full season, so I didn't really get to showcase everything that I could do. So I didn't expect my rating to be a 95 or anything like that. I understood it'd probably be in the 80s. I think that they made my player really accurate in the game.
Okay.
He has a lot of power and also is elusive. Has some breakaway speed. So I think it's really cool. It's a great opportunity to be on the game. Be something to show my grandkids when I get old. So that's really cool.
Well, that's what I'm curious. I mean, in some ways, you know, when you dream about playing football, Darius, and, you know, growing up in Detroit and finding out what colleges you might have an opportunity to go play for, and ultimately the goal, right, you know, maybe play in the NFL at some point in the future as well. So you think about all of those things. There's kind of just this little aside, and they haven't had this game for a long time. How cool is it, maybe later today when you go home and you're done with whatever PJ's got you doing today, you're going to sit down, fire it up, and you're playing yourself in a video game. That's pretty sweet, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely. And it's also cool to see, like, a lot of my teammates in the game. It's cool to know the guys that are actually on the field playing with me. And, like, it's cool to, like, when I'm playing against Daniel Jackson, for example.
Yeah.
When I throw him a ball and he drops it, I get to yell at Daniel Jackson in real life because he dropped the ball. So that's a cool thing that we get to do.
So that was my next question. I mean, as a running back, you do actually throw the ball in the game. I'm kind of surprised. You just hand it off to yourself every time.
I mean, you got to play football. I mean,
No, I suppose.
you can't just run the ball the whole game. But I throw myself the ball a lot, and I also like to throw a lot of deep balls to Tyler Williams and Daniel Jackson.
So I saw an article recently in the Star Tribune, Darius, and it talked about, getting personal for a second, your father being in prison and being raised by your Aunt Shanika and your grandmother, Carletta. There's emotional elements to that, but it just, the idea of using the platform you have now to kind of talk about that, to help people, maybe, sharing that story, helping people. Like what element of this is you continue your time at Minnesota? How much of it is about kind of sharing my story? Wasn't easy. They're heartbreaking moments, but also here I am and here's what I'm doing.
Mm-hmm. I think it's just a really good opportunity to show the quote unquote underdog story. There's a lot of kids and even adults that have been through similar or the same situation. I think that it shows the young kids that are trying to play football or any sport, for example, that they can do it, even in those circumstances. The circumstances don't really dictate how your life's going to go. You kind of make decisions on your own, and if you have the help like I have from my grandmother Carletta and my auntie Shanika, you can do whatever you want to do, honestly, and you don't necessarily need someone else to help you. If you just have a coach that could possibly be there to support you and give you a little bit of guidance, if you listen to it, I feel like you can go anywhere in this world.
And maybe this is also, as you continue to grow, role models that you found in your life, whether it was a coach, it was a teacher, the people in those spots with that chance to be a role model, even though you're still young, you are entering into that stage, right? And to be that image of what can be, if you can get through the muddy present.
Oh yeah. Something that's really big is my little brother. He's not in the exact same situation as me, but he's going through some things just in his life. He's really young though. He's 7 years old. I'm still playing like Pee Wee football, but
yeah. I
just want to show him that like he can do whatever he wants to do and make it to whatever level he wants to. Obviously, I'll be there to guide him along the way the whole time, and just show my sisters that even if they don't play sports, they can still do whatever they want to do in this world, minus any circumstances that they're going through. And also just like, I had coaches that were kind of carrying me through high school, also through Little League. But in high school, Corey Soroch, he was really big in my life. He actually is the person who told me to switch from receiver to running back. That's probably like one of the best decisions that I've ever made in my life.
Seems like it's working out pretty well for you so far.
Oh yeah, definitely. I would have been a lower recruited receiver. I was still pretty good, but I would have been a lower recruited receiver. And he told me, like, if you want 10 offers, you play receiver, and if you want 40, you go play running back. It wasn't really a choice for me. I just knew that obviously I wanted 40, have a bigger option, and the rest was really history from there.
That's awesome. That's sophomore running back Darius Taylor in studio, along with Blake Barrett's Institute for Athletes. So what is the process, Blake? Whether it's with Darius, I believe you represent some other members of the Gophers team as well. I don't have all the names in front of me, but what is the process in terms of not only establishing the relationship and navigating through the rat's nest of how to make all of this come together and still being as new as it is, but like, for instance, Slice Brothers Pizza. Like, Darius has got a pizza, I think, coming out. It's either now or it's later this summer, but just bits like that, how does IFA truly link into all of those types of activities for players?
Yeah, I mean, regardless of whether they're playing here or playing elsewhere, we're probably working with, I'm guessing, 20 or so collegiate players now, and it's just mapping out a plan for what these guys want to accomplish, whether it's philanthropically, whether it's off-season training, whether it's financially, whether it's, even from a PR perspective, getting Darius's story out. We're trying to lay out a blueprint to help these guys accomplish what they want to accomplish, helping build their brand.
Yeah.
And it's a process, right? You got to be able to see the forest through the trees, and we got to be able to execute on what each individual is trying to accomplish at that stage of their life. But our whole mantra since inception has been, if we can help you in any facet of your life, whether we can do it internally or whether it's a phone call away, that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to set these young men and their families up for success over the long term. And we need partners, guys like Darius and the Cody Lindenbergs and the Rashad Whites, and we need guys that understand the long play too and are not trying to snap their fingers and have everything be transactional.
Yeah.
This is a long-term play, and And that's why we're very particular of who comes into our family from a staffing standpoint, a client standpoint, because I'm not looking 10 yards out. I want to make sure that Darius and his family are successful 6 years from now, 12 years from now, 15 years from now. And a lot of the decisions and the things that he does today are going to help impact that outcome. And that's a big part of what we do.
Now, I saw this, and I think this happened. This isn't like a week ago, but you signed a high school prospect. Is that Peyton Houston? Is that accurate?
Yes.
And so now we're talking, at the high school ranks, like how far down the line does this ultimately go? He's only 7. But Darius's brother at some point might be sitting in IFA's office. What about that?
It's pretty crazy because it's definitely going further and further downstream, whether I like it or not. Our head of marketing had a relationship with his family from 10 years ago, and we kind of got a blind call saying, hey, I don't know if there's anything to do if you can help my son, but we're starting to get hit up by agents and marketers and financial advisors, and we're getting offers. And this kid hasn't started a high school football game yet. And we were able to put a pretty lucrative endorsement deal together for him. And then we kind of just reconsidered everything of are there real opportunities for the 15, 16, 17-year-olds out there? And there are. These brands are going deeper and deeper. I haven't watched a high school football game since my last game about 25 years ago. So I never thought I'd be dealing with high school athletes. But it's the reality of the environment we're in. So we're trying to figure out where our bandwidth makes sense and what we can actually do to help. But keep it still boutique and a family office type of feel. But these kids have real legitimate opportunities now, and the money's real, and the opportunities for success or failure are really real. And so navigating that process for them is all we're really trying to do at the end of the day.
A couple more for you gentlemen here. That's Blake Barrett's Institute for Athletes, Darius Taylor, sophomore running back, Golden Gophers football. I want to hear about this pizza. So Slice Brothers Pizza, there's a specialty DT1 pie. And did you get to pick the ingredients?
Yeah, I did.
I knew I was going to like you as soon as I saw hot honey. How good is hot honey on pizza? Are you kidding me?
It's really good. I didn't know what to expect when going into the actual restaurant. I was really excited to do it.
Yeah.
I knew I liked pepperoni and bacon pizza. That's probably my favorite pizza. That was before I tried the pepperoni bacon hot honey pizza. It's really good. It gives you that sweet and savory feel. So,
is that available now, or is that available later this summer?
It should be coming out later this summer.
Okay, sweet. So Slice Brothers Pizza, Darius Taylor. You can get the DT1 pizza, and it has pepperoni, bacon, and hot honey, which is an underrated Hall of Fame level additive to a pizza.
We'll bring one over for you.
Oh, that's the thing.
You, Nordo. We'll bring one over.
And admit, when you walked in from the elevator lobby, it's like, nice to meet you. My name's Eric Nordquist from the Fan. Hey, I'm Darius Taylor. Nice to meet you. You looked at me and you're like, that guy probably would eat a DT1 pie, right?
That's not my first thought, but
but we got there. Last couple for you, just in general, just kind of overlying view. Like, what do you think in 2024 with this team? You're opening up with North Carolina at home. You get over the hump against Iowa a year ago, so it's rivalries in the mix. It's a lot of fun, but what are you thinking about as you get closer to that first kickoff?
I think that we've brought in some great talent, true freshmen and also some transfer guys, especially Max Brosmer, a great leader. He's leading his team all the way through. I think that he's going to open up a lot of opportunities just with his IQ. I think that as a leader and as just a football mind, he's a great guy. And I think that we have the weapons all around. Defensively, I think we're kind of a sleeper team, but we got some guys back there that can really get the job done. And I also think that the guys that we brought into the running back room, they've added so much to just the level of play that we're going to play. I don't think that there's anybody in the room that couldn't go in and be a starter. I think that this year will be a shock to the world. I think that this running back room is really going to make some strides.
No, it's impressive. And, Mo Ibrahim prior to you and now with you in the mix, that not only PJ Fleck's tenure, but overall, this is a school that has figured out how to run the ball pretty damn well. And there's been a lot of good running backs, Rodney Smith, another one that have come through here. And it's kind of, that's you now, potentially in that mix. It's a great opportunity, right?
Oh, definitely. we run the ball at Minnesota. We're gonna do a great job of, as a running back, we're gonna do a great job of just being us.
Yeah.
And playing the way that Minnesota plays football. Coach Nick, he instills that in us right away. Is that we're gonna play our football. We're not gonna try to make big plays on every play. We're gonna play and take what they give us, and play violent, and also get vertical when we need to.
Let's go. Absolutely. I'm psyched, man. Anything before I let you guys get on to enjoy the day? Anything else that we need to know from Institute for Athletes? Are we going to hear from our special guest in studio with us?
I think so. Bexley, you want to say something? You got to turn your mic on, though. Bexley's about to go to sleepaway camp, so I don't know if she's going to miss me for 3 weeks. She said she'll miss Darius, but she said, I don't care about Dad.
Not true.
What do you got to say to everybody? You got all your fans out there listening. What? A shrug of the shoulders? Say something.
Well, here's what I'll say. First of all, nice to meet you, and thank you for coming in studio, Bexley. How old are you?
8.
You're 8 years old. Okay. My daughter's just turned 9. Now, your dad texted me yesterday, and he asked me to ask you about being a diva.
Are you a diva? She's like a little diva wide receiver trapped in an 8-year-old girl's body.
You are fantastic, Bexley. This is your first sleepaway camp, right?
No.
Last year she went for a week. This year it's 3 weeks.
3 weeks? Are you going to miss Mom and Dad?
Are you? Yes or no? That doesn't sound like a yes.
Hey, you're fantastic, Bexley. Thanks for talking with us on the radio. You said at least 5 to 10 words, which is more than my daughters would say on the radio. So I appreciate you being so brave this morning. Anything fresh with IFA that we need to know before we part ways this morning, sir?
No, everything's good. We're honestly, it's the guys are reporting to camp this week. Rookies are reporting. The rest of the guys reporting the end of this week and next week, and got through the off season, and I think everyone's just excited to get back to football. I'm excited for the.
Did you get to spend some time at like a sleepaway camp of your own before you get back into the dog days of the business cycle?
No, you know what's crazy is like when the guys go back to camp, like that's the best.
It is
2 weeks a year.
Oh, sweet.
Me.
Okay.
So because you go right from the season to new draft class to All-Star games to combine to free agency to the draft, and then all of our off-season deliverables and partnerships and philanthropic events. So. It's honestly, when the guys go back to camp, is like, that's the best 2 weeks of the year because they're locked down. They're the team's responsibility for a few weeks, and I can actually come up for air and recharge the battery. So
that's sweet.
I'm excited. And I think everyone's excited just to get back to football.
Well, I'm excited to go to the Slice Brothers and have a DT1 pizza and taste that hot honey. And I'm excited to watch you play this year, man. I mean, despite limited games, man, you kicked ass last year, and excited to see you do it again. And thanks for giving me a segment here on the radio today.
Always. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate you, Nordo.
That's Darius Taylor and Blake Barrett's Institute for Athletes, Sky UMA Radio during the final hour, 9 to noon. Max has a cash giveaway opportunity.
The Fan and BigDeck.com want to give you a shot to put $1,000 in your hand with our national cash contest. Enter the keyword credit at KFAN.com now for your shot at winning. That's keyword credit. Enter it now at KFAN.com.
Couple segments to go. It's a Friday feast tomorrow with Paul Charchian. I'm working out with him exactly what we're going to get into. Vikings heavy, of course, as we look ahead to training camp, and a couple of, I call them Charch stories because they usually have nothing to do with sports, and it's only stuff that Charch seems to know about. Text line, I've always appreciated text messages, 64686, Bradshaw and Bryant, KFAN text line, whether they're positive or they're negative, I appreciate them. But, and this pops up from time to time, Max. But before we get to a couple more Vikes bites, a texter sends this. I assume it was not for us. What method do you want me to ship so it doesn't get stolen by customs in China? I don't have the answer to that.
I don't know. Are we cowards for not talking about shipping methods? I wasn't
aware that this stolen by customs in China thing was. Is that a thing?
It's a problem, I guess.
I don't really don't mail anything anymore. But once in a while, we get some interesting ones. Thank you for all of the text messages, relevant, meant for us, or otherwise. But a couple of Vikes bites from earlier because it was a truncated segment. Thousand Hills, thank you as always for presenting Vikes bites, but kind of left you hanging. I know you put at least a couple more together. What do you got, Max?
This one's an interesting one, not necessarily Vikings related, but in relation to the NFL world at large. HOF receiver T.O. says he attempted to contact Tom Brady to ask for a chance to play for the Buccaneers during the playoffs, and Brady ignored him.
Wow.
Shocker. At the time, T.O. was 48 years old and hadn't played in the NFL since he was cut after 3 weeks of training camp with the Seahawks a decade earlier. But we could have saw T.O., TB to T.O. during that Tampa Bay playoff.
And he was 48 at the time?
He was 48 at the time, which, I mean, to his credit, he's still an absolute unit. He's shredded. Nobody's ever doubted T.O. on that, but, I mean, come on, bro.
That's it doesn't surprise me. And that was it was a fun year, and what was mostly fun, I mean, once you bring Gronk down, and ultimately Antonio Brown was on that team as well.
Right.
Like
it was that same year that AB went nuts too.
Yeah. Oh, it was.
It was that very same
where he
year.
left in
the middle of the game and everything. So I don't know if TL thought he was going to be a calming presence.
Do you follow him on X, by the way?
I see his tweets pop up all the time. He's got to be one of the most fascinating. I wish I was a psychologist. He might be the first human being that should donate their brain to science while they're alive. Yeah, because we need to figure out what's going on with AB.
I don't know how to handle it because there's the serious angle of mental health, potential, CTE is a talker, of course, in football, traumatic brain injuries of various sorts. But there's also the element, he is the weirdest, sometimes the funniest, definitely one of the grossest, most derogatory. And you can just go, not safe. Well, I mean, it's on X. If you're looking at X, there's all sorts of things on there that you can try to avoid. But
lots of pictures in the bio.
If you can go to AB, I think it's AB84, I believe is what it is, and you can just tell me what's going on there. We both need help kind of understanding exactly what is the nature of and as fascinating is the right word to do it. T.O., I love T.O., and it's, early stages. What is it? Is it 98 maybe? When he catches that pass from Steve Young, gets just absolutely murdered in the end zone, holds on to it. I think he knocked the Packers out of the playoffs with that touchdown. Plays on a broken leg in Philly in that Super Bowl. You got Donovan McNabb puking in the huddle, the whole thing. Ultimately, they lose to the aforementioned Tom Brady. You also have the doing sit-ups in the driveway. You got the bravado of running to stand on the Dallas Star. He would later play for Dallas. I mean, T.O., definitely not Antonio Brown level.
No.
But certainly had some fascinating elements of his existence as well.
Yeah, crying about Tony Romo at the press conference.
Oh, that's my quarterback. I loved him, though. And he's one of the best. I mean, after Jerry Rice and after Randy Moss, you have to start, and he might actually be next in career touchdowns.
I think he is. I think only Jerry Rice has more than him.
Somewhere in that top 10, I actually think that you have to really consider Terrell Owens as being one of the best to ever do it.
No doubt.
But at 48, I mean, they got Godwin, they got Mike Evans.
Right.
They're okay. I mean, T.O., you can hang out. Like, you're going to come to the party. That's cool.
Right.
When we do the Super Bowl parade and I'm Brady tossing the Lombardi from boat to boat. I mean, nobody I'd rather throw it to.
Right.
I trust you. I trust those hands, big man. But I'm not putting you on the field. Any other nibbles, some Vikes bites?
Yes, sir. The Vikings announced, I believe it was yesterday, that former cornerback Bobby Bryant will enter the Ring of Honor on September 22nd. He'll be the first cornerback in franchise history to receive the distinction. Bryant started 141 total games for the Vikings, including 2 Super Bowls.
Yeah, and that's the key for me is, it feels like, and I see it all the time, for a fan base, long suffering in some respects, and we do see it. Some of the older Vikings fans will harken back to, this is what's bad about the team now. I Remember When, and it's Purple People Eaters and Paul Krause and HOFer and Fran Tarkenton and all of that. But Bobby Bryant has been a guy that I've heard so much about. But he was drafted, in the 60s before I was born. He actually ended, I think, his NFL career before I was born. So I can't pretend to be a Bobby Bryant savant. But when we did bring it up yesterday, Vikings fans were pouring in on the text line, just remembering moments. I think Nate Wright blocked a punt in a Rams playoff game. Bobby ran that back for a touchdown. I don't have the stats in front of me now, but even to this day, from 61 to present, Bobby still, from career interception standpoint, he had 10 or 12 fumble recoveries in his day, a couple of those defensive touchdowns I mentioned with the Rams game. He is a staple of this franchise, specifically with Vikings fans that can attach themselves, appeal to themselves. I became a Vikings Rube in the 90s, fans that became Rubes in the 60s and 70s. You definitely remember Bobby Bryant well, and so that's a tremendous honor. And throughout the fact that we can go year to year to year, and 59th times the charm for Super Bowl slogans because they've never won a Super Bowl, you start to think about it. This is, without the Super Bowls, just wins and losses, one of the more winningest franchises in all of NFL history, and that encompasses a ton of amazing players that stretch multiple generations. Congratulations to Bobby Bryant, and congratulations, of course, tip to all the fans that wanted him in there. That's super cool. Thanks for those additional Vikes Bites, yes, Max, and appreciate you preparing those. We're going to put a wrap on this thing. Hey, you're going to do a wrap again, right?
I didn't. I don't have one prepared today, but I should. I got 10 minutes. I can try to cook one up real quick.
It's fine.
It won't work.
No, it won't. Not this time. But when we return, we'll put kind of a stamp on the show and send you off into the wonderful world that is the Grum. That's next. 9 to noon on the Fan.
And Fantasy Football Training Camp is back at Treasure Island Resort and Casino. Join Paul Charchian and the Fantasy Football Weekly crew in the Full Deck Ballroom on Friday, August 16th from 6 to 9 p.m. Nice. Stop by for the live broadcast from 6 to 8. Then stick around for the Fantasy Football Deep Dive. Great prizes to be had, including a $1,000 grand prize. I might have to stop by for that. Get the full details now at KFAN.com. Keyword calendar.
What did we learn today? 9 to noon. Well, first of all, thanks everybody for listening. Learned that Karl Anthony Towns is not part of Team Dominican Republic in the Olympics because the Dominican Republic basketball team's not in the Olympics. So I learned that in real time as we were talking on the radio this morning. Big thanks to Alan Horton for coming in, voice of the Wolves, during the first hour. And pumped for Summer League, and it sounds like tonight will be the final chance in Summer League hoops for you to see Terrence Shannon Jr., who looks poised, looks ready to contribute early for the Wolves, and then see the potential of Rob Dillingham and the chance to see him as well tonight. Got to get that shooting fixed a little bit, but he's going to be a factor. He's not going down to Iowa. He's going to be with the big club, and he's going to be ready to go. What did we learn with Lieber? Well, Lieber is going to be at the Jordan Tap Room today, so enjoy that. Twin Cities Live, 3 to 4:30. Get down there early. And then he thinks Kirk Cousins is a top 10 quarterback, and he likes Dak. But Dak being top 10 is absolutely preposterous. He also doesn't believe in Joe Burrow. He's down on Josh Allen. See, the thing that we were getting into with Lieber, and I love Lieber, but when you do these lists, which are so arbitrary in some respects as it is,
right?
Like by the time you get done ripping everybody, like, okay, it's a great rookie season, C.J. Stroud, but I mean, you're already 7th. Are you kidding me? Or Rodgers, fresh off the Achilles, Kirk off an Achilles as well. How was Rodgers 8th? You start playing that game. Pretty soon, it's just Patrick Mahomes, and then there's nobody else in the top 10.
Yeah, that's pretty much what it sounded like.
Yeah,
it should just be Mahomes.
Yeah, correct. What about Lamar? So playing.
I
that
agree
game
with Ben, by the way, but it's exactly like you said.
No, correct. So appreciate him, and then it was awesome, and thanks to Tim and Blake with IFA and for setting up. It's been something just trying to get Darius Taylor in here and. Being home of the Gophers, but the chance to meet a kid that has a significantly bright future, and just fun getting to meet Darius in studio today. I learned that he likes hot honey on pizza, so now I like Darius Taylor.
It does sound delicious. I've never tried hot honey on pizza, but oh my God, he might be an elite food mind.
Yeah, but he seems like a super good kid, and rooting for him, rooting for the Gophers. We're so pumped for training camp practice that lifts off a week from Saturday. But Sky UMA, I mean, they're in session all summer doing the work. And Big Ten Media Days next week. Darius is going to be a representative for Minnesota down there. I think it's at Lucas Oil in Indy next week. And you're going to get to hear from Oregon and USC and UCLA and Washington now. So that's going to be kind of weird, but it'll be a lot of fun. Thanks for Darius to get to meet him and have him in studio. And then we also learned, courtesy of the text machine, that shipping things to China might be precarious because it could be stolen by a customs agent. So I don't know how many people out there do those sorts of things, but just keep that in your mind. Final day of vocal maintenance week of sorts. PA is going to be at Root Party tomorrow night as well. So his voice should sound very fresh as he provides the boom on the festivities of Forgotten Star Brewing tomorrow night. And then he'll be back in this very chair starting Monday as we, by that time, rookies are going to be reporting. And we're just, the purple glasses, they have been dusted, they have been cleaned, they have been shined. And we're going to be wearing them starting on Monday. Looking forward to that. And it's Paul Charchi, and it's a Friday football feast with him. Looking forward to that. And thank you, Max, for hanging out with me as well today.
Oh, thanks for having me, Nordo.
That's it for me. Enjoy a beautiful Thursday afternoon. Catch that Wolves Summer League game tonight at 10 if you are so inclined. Late tonight, 10, the Wolves playing the Houston Rockets. Other than that, links on the chill, at least for another day or so. And then Twins start up on Saturday. Sports returning before our very eyes and ears. So looking forward to that. Looking forward to about 50 things. I've said that about 8 times in the last 90 seconds. So I will say this. The program is next. Have an awesome day, and thank you for listening to The Fan.
Going to the iHeartRadio app or KFAN.com.